Hello, my name is Juan Lechuga, and this is my final presentation for CE 494 with Professor Dr. Thomas Seeger. And this is the presentation where we had to identify a wicked situation that more so a problem we are unsatisfied with, and identifying that as a wicked um, problem in today's day, and how we could come up with hypotheticals solution and just keep questioning why this is a problem within why I see this as a problem. And I chose to talk about green energy inequality in low income communities in the day of today. And to start off, the situation I'm not satisfied with, as identified before, was the green energy within the day of today in low income communities. And just this overall little background, this affects millions of households across the US. The growing inequality and access to green energy is just something that is just really not talked about just enough, in my opinion. And in doing so, this presentation would follow just proposing a hypothetical solution by explaining how I would measure that progress. And another thing about green energy is marketed as the future. It's just something uh, it's just the next step in I guess the community of today in the life we live. It just consists of things like solar panels, electric vehicles, efficient appliances, home insulation. All these technologies just reduce emissions and can save like money long term wise. And but in doing so, there's I guess you could say a catch. The people who need these types of savings the most are low income households, which usually least least able to access these. And typically, wealthier communities adopt green technologies first, which benefit them financially and a benefit environmentally for everybody. While the more low income communities typically get stuck with these higher bills and these older fashion style systems, and it just creates a energy inequality gap. So I guess you could say a deep dive into why is just the access into green energies, and this another why is it just creates this inequality gap, not just financially wise, but also accessing to resources wise. It's just an unsatisfactory situation to deal with. And just a few examples of the problem, solar panels require thousands of dollars up front. Renters can't even install them just because they don't even own the roof. Many families don't qualify for this traditional financing just because of the low credit scores, and more incentives only help the homeowners, not the renters, people which that typically have multi-families in their house. And even ironically saying so, low-income communities consistently have the highest percentage of income spent on the energy bills. Ironic. And stating this as the wicked problem and forming this into a problem statement, one could say, how can the society transition to clean green energy without financially burdening low-income communities or leaving them behind? And it's the problem fits the definition of a wicked problem, just as it said, just because there's no singular clear solution, because just there's different regions, utilities, communities that have different needs. It just varies from community to community. Every solution also introduces a new problem. For example, electric vehicles, they demand increase in car prices. Solar subsidies favor homeowners over the renters. And also just this disagree on priorities is just really, really prevalent. And the problem is tied into income inequality, housing, politics, even, and just more importantly, there's not a set finish line for this, and so green technology and costs just constantly keep developing and developing. And so to address this wicked problem, um, one had to devise a proposed hypothetical solution, and in doing so, I was able to come up with some type of components, not just one, but a total of four components that would contribute to this hypothetical solution. And one of them consists of a GAP, which is the Green Energy Access Program. The goal would be not to solve the problem entirely, but to improve conditions by removing some cost barriers. The program provides community solar access, zero down utility financing, predictable bill credits, and just job training within the community. And talking about component number one, community solar, and instead of just requiring individual households to install their solar panels, the community would subscribe to a shared solar farm, and this just completely eliminates the need for homeowners or home ownership, sorry, or just upfront costs that are out of reach. Just renters, apartments, and low-income families all benefit from this. The savings appear directly all on the utility bill, and just makes this a uh, more accessible green energy technology. Second component to this um, would be the low cost utility financing. Instead of like a traditional loan, or instead of the traditional loan, sorry, upgrades like insulation or efficient appliances are paid through the utility bill. No needed for a credit check or no down payment necessarily needed. And then the monthly payment would be capped so that the households save more money each month, and this would just eliminate the financial risk involved within this, if that makes sense. Third component to this, I would say the guaranteed energy bill credits, and then within this, this third component kind of guarantees an energy bill credit, which would be tied to the actual savings, or the actual energy savings. Sorry, this would make the program transparent and predictable. Households would know exactly how much they're saving, which builds trust and also helps to protect them from rising energy costs, which with throughout time, we've seen how that's a trend and just how that just develops over time. Component number four would be local workforce training. And just instead of bringing these outside contractors, the program itself would train people from the community to install and maintain these systems themselves. This would just create overall jobs, hone the skills of the community, of people within the community, and just this itself would also just generate local support and hopefully bring in confidence that was not seen before this hypothetical solution, and just hopefully this is a thing that is maintained and can just develop within time, and just um, helps to overall improve um, the situation of communities such as this one. Not this one in particular, but I mean just local low income communities around, even not even just here in the US, but hopefully around the world, because this could be something not just seen here, but all around the world. And in doing so, one needs to be able to track progress, and then the way to be able to measure these key components. Monthly energy costs would show the financial impact. The percent of income spent on utilities would address the energy burden. Participation numbers would be able to show the engagement within the community. And then energy savings and emissions would be able to connect to the environmental goals. And the renter versus homeowner participation would be able to track equity. So as seen within the table, um, it's a table of measure versus like amount of money per month, monthly energy cost, percent spent on utilities, participants enrolled. Just as mentioned before, just things that would be able to be measured as this hypothetical solution would be in play, and just because one will need to track the progress and to make sure it's failing or succeeding, which leads into the next few slides. And relating this to the spectrum and the sextant, these would be able to the spectrum itself would help to identify the level of community support, and then hopefully the high participation means that the people trust the program, and it just means that there's confidence that it's working, that it's successful. Low participation would suggest that there's skepticism and still barriers for people that just hinder them from actually giving full participation and confidence within this. And it's a possibility. Just as this is a possible hypothetical, it's also hypothetical for them to have. It's just a normal human emotion. It's an instinct that people have. And then the sextant represents navigating uncertainty and the data will help to the guide the program's decision, the direction, and then show like where these adjustments would precisely be needed. And then how one would know this fails, because as mentioned before, just as it could succeed in the hypothetical, it could also fail. And I would know this experiment is failing just because the energy bills do not decrease for most participants if things like renters remain excluded or enrollment remains low, just because even despite outreach, if the system performance is unreliable, or if households starts dropping due to trust or issue costs, these would just be strong indicators that the experiment is not working overall, and these outcomes would just hopefully um, spark some more ideas, of more that would be more effective and just give a different approach. And just all in all, the transition to green energy is just important, but currently it's widening also inequality. The GEAP, also known as Green Energy Access Program, will provide a pathway to make energy cleaner, cheaper, and more accessible for low-income communities. While these wicked problems cannot be fully solved, they can be improved through thoughtful, measurable interventions such as this one. Thank you.